Today's project is taking Neil Hutchison's logo for his film company and turning it into a stencil so that we can make t-shirts. This is the first tracing, and what I did here was really sort of start to plan my breaks, because when you're working in a stencil you have to allow for breaks that will connect the stencil to itself. The idea is to put the breaks in there in such a way that there's not a loss of the idea of, the original idea. Like in this case here, where we have breaks in the border, it becomes a design element. So you have a sense that, this octopus is just kind of can't be confined. He's breaking out of this, the confines around him. In some cases, it can, like, the breaks can be used to show depth as well. So there's a break right here, so you can clearly see that this tentacle is on top of this tentacle because these breaks right here. If it's at a natural sort of point, like almost where joints are, like that makes a lot of sense also. So you just think about, you're working with that white space. This whole white piece right here will end up being a flopping, loose piece of stencil. So that right there becomes a potentially fragile part of the stencil. So you want to try and minimize that as much as possible. I think that's why you want to try to, a lot of ways, work as many breaks as you can into the entire stencil. If I didn't put that break right there, this would be a long, narrow piece of stencil that would only be connected to the main sheet down here. And so that's not a very sturdy projection on the stencil, but putting a break right there ties this little internal piece in, into 1, 2, 3 places now into the overall sheet. So I'm happy with this. I think that's going to be a sturdy spot. A lot of times for me with design is I wrestle it to a certain point, and then if I look at it in 2 or 3 days and I still like it, then that means it's okay. So I've got a cutting mat. If you're using an X-Acto knife, you absolutely want to have one of these to use. So now I'm going to center up the design, and it's important I feel like at the cutting stage to start lining up your design so that it's pretty well centered in the stencil that you're going to cut.